Okay, testing.
Ambulatu enona loloma Niubakila niutamatava Kaukoya Ambulatu enona loloma Niubakila niutamatava Ambiliraki wasoma
It was an amazing event. He was truly loved. He touched so many people. And yeah, we want to have that opportunity too. So we thank you, Will and Bridget and the children, for giving us this opportunity to say, Bulla, Tom. I was started off meeting Pastor Tom when I took on the role as head elder. Yeah, and I started studying theology already, so it wasn't a surprise when I went from not being anything in the church to head elder of the Central Church. So I was extremely lost in that role. And Pastor Tom was brand new here as well, so together we formed this friendship. He took me under his wings and showed me how he did ministry. He became a mentor to me. And I loved him so much that, and I loved the way he did ministry. He made everything so personal. I loved it how he would make baptisms, how he made weddings, how he made dedications so personal that it became a memorable event in those people's lives. It touched them. It transformed those people. And I guess if I didn't have that mentoring, I wouldn't be standing here today as a minister in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So Pastor Tom has made a large difference in my life. And if things were different and I had passed away before he did, I would be wanting him to take my funeral. So it's ironic that I'm standing here as someone that truly loved Pastor Tom. I remember the small group that he ran in Mackay, where he touched so many people and influenced so many people. And so many of them are here today. And we're going to hear stories from people that were involved in that small group that he ran, and how he delivered the Bible studies and transformed people. And they wanted to know Jesus because of his words and his actions. I've also written down he became a part of my family. I'm sure he became part of many people's family because of that warmthness that he showed. It didn't take long, and we were accepting him in our family. And I remember he showed up to my grandmother's funeral. He didn't know Grandma, but he knew that it was important to me, so he came to that funeral to be with me, basically to support me. And that was the influence that he and the love that he showed everybody. He didn't just show me, he showed everybody that. And he was always encouraging for me, no matter what I did in the church, whether it was going to be acting as the CFO in WA or other roles in ADRA or in ministry. He was always very supportive of me. And part of my study, I had to have a guinea pig, I guess, to video me doing Bible studies with someone, and Pastor Tom was always that person for me. So I've got heaps of videos of me learning to do Bible studies with him. So he was an amazing person. He showed lots of love. And I look forward to hearing other people's memories today, either here in the service or during the celebration and the lunch and the sharing of memories time that we will have at that event as well. And through that, we will celebrate Pastor Tom's life. Well, let me start with a word of prayer. You dear God, we're grieving. We're grieving at the moment, but we also have this hope that we will see Pastor Tom again. We know that you always had the power to raise the dead, and you always promised that you will, at the second coming, bring people that truly believed up, raise them up, and we'll all go to heaven together, and we'll live in this amazing world, one full of love. But it's I ask that you wrap your loving arms around the family today, and us as friends as well, as we're grieving. But in time, we will see Tom once again be with us in a special way, but be with the family as they're grieving ever so dearly at the moment. We ask this in your blessed name, Jesus. Amen. It's time for a special item from the Fijian community. So I'll ask you to come to the front. It's time for the life sketch. How amazing was those voices? If that's anything like our voices in heaven, bring it on, because we want to be all singing like that.
Thank you, Pastor Kirkwood, for that welcome. Thank you, Fijian community, for that song. Thank you, Central Church, for facilitating this event. Pastor Matt and your team, Nathania, and your team, thank you very much. Thank you, Pastor Alfredo, Pastor Kirkwood, for driving all the way from Townsville to be here, and others that I might not have mentioned who have gone out of their way to be here today. Thank you. My name is Will Osborne, and I'm the eldest of 6 children. My late father and my mother, Pastor mother. My siblings, Tui, Charlie, Gina, Tomo Jr., and Danny, and our mother join us today in celebrating the life of our father, Pastor Tom. He was born in 1956 in Suva to Soko Osborne and Meranga Kowanga. He attended Suva Methodist Primary School in Suva and completed high school at Suva Grammar School. He completed one final year of high school at Fulton College in Tailevu before he went on to work for Public Works Department in Fiji, building roads around Fiji, and progressed until he became a supervisor. He was friends with my uncle, Tui, Mom's brother, whilst at Suva Grammar, but never really met my mother until her final year at Fulton College, where he would stop over to see her occasionally. Mom became a teacher at Navisau, and Dad would stop to frequently visit her. They got married in 1978, and when I was born in 1979, we moved to Suva from Rakiraki, where they had been working. In Suva, Dad was heavily involved with the youth group at Tamavu English Church under Pastor John Wells, who was the pastor then. That was his first experience in ministry, and he enjoyed it thoroughly. So much so that he turned down an opportunity to study civil engineering in England, would have been fully funded by the Fijian government. Instead, he chose to go to Pacific Adventist College, now Pacific Adventist University in Papua New Guinea, to study theology, as he wanted to become a minister. His parents were not happy with his decision, but he had the backing of the Fiji Mission, the South Pacific Division, and my late grandfather, Pastor Isake Kambu, who was General Secretary of the Central Pacific Union back then. In PNG, I recall having to stay in the men's dorm at PAC with Dad and eating at the dining hall in our first couple of months before Mom, Tui, and Charlie joined us. I was 6 years old, and it was fun hanging out with Dad and his college friends. Dad graduated with a degree in theology in 1987 and was called to pastor in Fiji at Tamavu English and a number of Fijian churches, Raiwanga, Cunningham, Dokane Suva, and Wailoku, until he was called back to be Director of Student Services at PAC in 1991, where Dr. Alan Sonta was the principal. We would spend the next 3 years in PAC before Dad got called back to Fiji Mission to become Youth Director. He would complete a Master's in Youth Ministry at Avondale College and La Sierra University while being Youth Director. He then went on to become Fiji Mission President in 2000. He served as President of the Fiji Mission before answering a call to pastor here in Mackay in 2007, where he would serve for 8 years, the longest of anywhere he had served as a minister. Mackay had a special place in Dad's heart. Many of you loved him just as much as we did. Thank you for all your support. To Dad and Mum through the years they were here. To the Fly and Build teams over the years and the church members who developed a close bond with Dad and at times with his favorite caramel tart. We're grateful to you. Dad would serve another 3 years pastoring in Townsville before he decided to retire and move back to Fiji. But his passion for ministry was not over. After taking a week of prayer at Fulton College, Dad accepted a call to teach theology and minister at Fulton. This would be his final years of service. We'd like to thank everyone for your love and support and prayers during this time. Dad has blessed us with his life and has left a legacy for us to continue until that glorious day when Jesus comes again. Thank you.
Time to watch a video from
Nisambula Vinaka from Fiji, to my family in Mackay, the Mackay community, the church, and all our friends and families. At this moment, I know you are all gathered there to commemorate of Pastor Tom's life. He has lived a very productive life, if I can say that, with his 6 children, plus all the members of the church that he loves, and the community. He's now resting, and I just want to thank you all for supporting us at this time of loss. Those who send us their love through William, and I just want to thank you all for that. I thank God for the way He provided during his funeral. It was not a little one, it was big, and I can tell you that I was surprised to see everyone coming together to celebrate his life. And I thank God for his service in the church, and thank God for the way he prepares his sermon. He's always prepared. If anyone asks him to preach, he usually just stand up and preach. I thank God for wisdom that he has had during his time of work. And at this moment, I think everyone is thinking of us. Thank you all. I do pray that we'll be all found in God's kingdom to meet Pastor Tom. Thank you, my friends, the ladies, the young people, the older folks, and the gentlemen at the Mackay community and the church as well. I have no words I can't pay back what you guys have done during this time of loss, but I pray that the Lord will bless you all and will be able to fill up your pockets and to bless you with all the desires you'd like to have in this life. Thank you so much, everybody. I love you all, and we'll see you when I get to Mackay, hopefully soon. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
and I'm the senior elder at Farley Church. On behalf of the Farley Church family, we want to offer our deepest sympathy and condolences to Sister Var and to the family and to Now and the extended families at this very sad time. Our hearts are broken at the passing of our dear pastor and our dear friend, Pastor Tom. Pastor Tom came to Farley to preach his first sermon on the 5th of May 2007. Start again. Sorry about that. Okay, as I said, my name is Helen Yasri and I'm the senior elder at Farley Church. On behalf of the Farley Church family, we want to offer our deepest sympathy and condolences to Sister Var and family and to Now and the extended families at this very sad time. Our hearts are broken at the passing of our dear pastor and our dear friend, Pastor Tom. Pastor Tom came to Farley to preach his first sermon on the 5th of May 2007, and he preached on the birth of Christ from Luke 2. He had a very unique way of sharing God's word. He never just preached to us, he would get the whole congregation involved. Pastor Tom's preaching uplifted us spiritually, and he helped us to have a greater and clearer understanding of God's word. And we'll be forever thankful for that. Pastor Tom was a quietly spoken man. He was also a deeply dedicated man. He was compassionate and very understanding. A very understanding man who we all loved very dearly. He ministered to Farley Church until 2012, and he came back to do a second term of ministry in 2015, and he moved from Farley Church to Townsville. After he left to minister to other churches, and even in his retirement, he always came back to preach at Farley, to share his love for Jesus. We shared many fellowship lunches together, and I think we might be guilty of introducing Pastor Tom to caramel tart. I know that he formed a very special relationship with Sherelle and Peter, and when he was here in Mackay, his stopovers here, their house was the last port of call on Sunday to have caramel tart. God blessed us with Pastor Tom's ministry, and we thank God for putting him, Sister Var, and their beautiful family into our lives. Pastor Tom touched each of us of our lives in different ways, and we each have cherished and special memories of him. For me personally, Pastor Tom officiated at my daughter's wedding. He dedicated my grandson. He baptised my granddaughter. He laid my husband to his final resting place, and he ordained me as an elder. Pastor Tom preached his last sermon at Farley on the 22nd of April this year. And as we said our goodbyes under the mango tree, he hopped into his car, or Will's car, and then he reversed back and he hit and knocked our flagpole over. And then he put it into drive and just drove off, and he was gone. And that's my last memory of him. Our memories of Pastor Tom Osborne will never be forgotten. For now, we say good night, Pastor Tom, and we'll see you on that great resurrection morning. Rest in peace, my brother.
Hi, my name is Samika, and I'm one of the kids that Uncle Tom and Auntie Va had fostered, along with my younger sister. And from a young age, I never knew what stability was or what a healthy family relationship looked like until the age of 9, when Uncle Tom and Auntie Va had fostered us. And I can greatly say from where I am today, and I look back, and the impact that they had made on us is why we are who we are today and where we are at today. And I'm so grateful for all the life lessons that they taught us, the biggest one being love. They brought us into their family with open arms, love and warmth into the Osborne family. And it still warms my heart today. All the memories, the laughter, the jokes will forever be with me. But Uncle Tom had the biggest heart I know a person could have, and he showed me what it's like to have strength and perseverance through tough situations and always trust in God when those situations got tough. And it has greatly stuck with me today. And we were really tough kids to deal with, but through their strength and perseverance, they powered on and stuck with us and really pushed through to make us the people we are today. And I'm so grateful and thankful for that. I will forever miss him. It hurts my heart to say goodbye, but I know he's in a better place in the loving hands of God. And I didn't want to make this too long of a video because I promised Aniva I'd make this a short video, even though I have more words to say. But I'm just so grateful and thank you, and love you, Uncle Tom, always and forever.
The grandchildren, do they want to come up and say a few words, or the foster children?
Hello. My name's Samika. This is my little sister Jelaya and Sadia. We're just one of the three that Auntie Vi and Uncle Tom fostered when we were young. He's made a great impact on our lives and as who we are today. Taught us great life lessons along the way as we are who we are today. His words and their love will stick with us forever, and I'm forever grateful that we just ended up into their home. Sorry, I had a speech prepared, but then the video played and it already said what I wanted to say in the video, so kind of messed it up. But
I'll just say I am very thankful for Aniva and Uncle Tom taking me in when they did at the state that they were at with already fostering 2 grandchildren. They still took me in under their wing. And I was very grateful to be taught some Fijian language, discover new things. They taught me the piano, they taught me ukulele, and I cherish playing those instruments all the time to cherish the memories that I had learning them with Aniva and Uncle Tom.
okay, thank you.
Thanks, girls. Rico, do you want to?
Thank you, girls. That was awesome. Luke 19:10, it talks about Jesus came to seek and save the lost. And this, I believe, was Pastor Tom's main focus. He rang us one Friday afternoon and asked if he could come and visit us on the Sabbath and asked where we would be. And we said Lake Elphingston, which is about an hour and a half drive away. And he rocked up and he said he wanted to talk to us about something he was passionate about, and that was running a care group. And he asked if Barb and I would consider, and Tom had a very gentle manner, and he explained it very gently to us what a care group was, and we didn't take us long to agree to be part of it. And he said that what they would do would have the actual care group at their place, and we worked on a Thursday night. And he said that they would actually supply, the light dinner, and we know Tom didn't like desserts very much. And he said, your job is to bring some people from the community there. So we said, wow. So we prayed about it, and we were working with 3 different people. So we brought them and talked with Nathania, and she brought her mum and Chris. And I've never ever heard someone, just bring out so interestingly the Gospels of Christ. And there were many of us that were blessed by these care groups. We went on a couple of campouts, and I can remember one particular time going down the buggies down this really steep hill, and they had trouble getting out on motorbikes, and Pastor Tom opted not to go in the buggy on the way out. I wished he had of, because if he had of, the buggy wouldn't have just stood up on its end, everyone screaming, had Brooklyn Bretzel with a little baby in there. But if Tom would have been in the front, it would have stayed flat on the ground. But yeah, we had some fantastic times with that care group, and we had up to 30 people coming along quite regularly, and it ran faithfully the whole time Tom was here. And when Tom left, Chris Kirkwood, he took over, and we had an awesome time with those care groups because of Tom's passion to seek and save the lost. Apart from that, Tom's impact at our family in different ways. My daughter Chloe went over to Fiji on a fly and build, which she still talks about today, and Tom talks about her. My son Ashley and his wife Jenna were married by Pastor Tom, and as well as my son Ashley and his best mate Arnardo, and his Arnardo's dad Ken Brady were all baptised by Pastor Tom. And the other incident that I had that changed my life forever was after Cyclone Winston went through Fiji, Navasau High School was closed down because of the roofs that had come off. And Tom had asked me if it was possible that I could, get a team together and go over and help in that area. And we did that, and God blessed. He blessed the team, and there was Bar who came. Tom wasn't able to come here on that particular one. There was Brad Pullen, Dave Clark, Jesse Wilson, Keith McDougall Senior, Alwyn Green, my son Ash, and I. And that was something I'll never forget, because the Navasau High School actually wrote a song about us in Mackay, and they sang it at our farewell dinner, which was absolutely, you never forget that. And another thing I remember was don't ring the bell, Nathania. Another thing I'll never forget with Pastor Tom was a 4-part series he took here in Mackay Central Church. And it was on, the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son. And I can never, remember being so impacted by such beautiful words. And I look forward to meeting Tom when Jesus comes, and for Tom to say, "G'day, young Rico."
2013, fresh out of school, I show up in the Mackay area and I get connected with Pastor Tom Osborne. And in that moment, my life changed. I think in that moment, both our lives changed. For me, as an intern, trying to learn what I could learn, but also for him, stepping to the role of a supervisor and trying to teach me, to guide me so that I could become the person that God had made me to become. And, you know, there's a bit of a feeling out period, and we're trying to sort things out and try to see how we work together. But little by little, week after week, month after month, we developed a good relationship. And I was able to learn a lot from him, to learn how to focus on the task at hand, to learn how to prioritize certain things and certain people, to not get rolled as much by the challenges of ministry. And I really appreciated that he never tried to make me into a copy of himself, but rather tried to bring out the best that was already inside of me. So as we continued the journey through our working relationship, we got to know each other. We got to sort of see each other in downtimes. But one thing that stands out to me is that it seemed to me as though Tom had one speed, and that speed was just at a pace that he was willing to go. And no matter how much I may have tried to push him or others may have tried to push him to go faster, it was just that one pace. But you know what? I think that's pretty cool because it just meant that he was sure that what he was involved in, that was what was required at the time. And I've learned a lot from that there are certain things at certain times that you're going to have to move quickly in life and make these snap decisions. But if you are deliberate and if you plan ahead and if you know why you are there, there is no rush. There is no hurry. There is simply walking step by step in the providence and in the power of God. And that's what I learned from Pastor Tom. And I really appreciated that, especially early on in my ministry and even now as I reflect on it. Tom focused on things like his family, the love for his wife, the love for his kids. That was evident whenever we would speak about family. And he had love for ministry as well. He loved being a pastor in the Mackay area. And I know he loved all of you, his extended Mackay family, very much. He showed his love for Jesus by a ministry of presence and caring for others. And that's something that I want to carry on even in my own ministry as well. So hopefully one day, who knows, I might be in that space where I am the supervisor for some new pastor, and I'm able to show them that, hey, we don't need more of me. We need whatever it is that God has inside of you. That's the legacy that I see from Pastor Tom. So, to his family and friends, from my family to you, we send our condolences, and we look forward to the day when there will be no more death, and that day when we will finally be reunited in the presence of Jesus. And Pastor Tom, he's going to live again, and I hope and pray that all of us are there to be reunited with a great man. May God bless and keep you as you journey through the weeks and months ahead of healing and hope for the second coming. God bless. Take care.
Morning. To quote the wife of a prominent Fijian church member, she said that Pastor Tom was one of the very few people who left the country but didn't forget them back home. And that was so evident to them. And it didn't take Pastor Tom long, only 2 years in fact, in 2009 when he organised the first fly and bill back to Fiji. I wasn't part of that fly and bill because that involved mainly North Mackay and Farley members, but I know Paddy and Brian Shepherd did actually go on that one, and that was to the island of Bangor. Probably doesn't mean, unless you've been to Fiji, probably doesn't mean much, but it is the home of the Fijian firewalkers there, if you've heard of those. And the following year, I was fortunate enough to go on the second fly and build back to where Pastor Tom's parents were living, back to Tuvanuva there on the island of Taveuni. And what a magic place out in the deck looking over the lagoon there. Yeah, it was something special. And the legend lives on that the first fly and build they went to Bangor. It was a pretty tough one. The building was up on the hill. Yeah, the CFO at the time actually supplied them for a tent for the men to sleep in. But it leaked with big time. And the ladies were fine, but yeah, when the CFO turned up for the dedication of the church, it rained almost every night. They made sure he slept in that tent. It was a bit of a legend, a story that always lived on, Samiti and the leaky tent. And year after year, fly and builds continue to happen in different places. And over the years, believe it or not, there has been 12 churches built from the efforts of Fly and Build. The last two, in 2020 and 22, they were actually built by Gorry and his team, because we could not go over there. But I just want to pay tribute to Gorry and his team for the work they do, because we could never build a church in 10 days on our own. It needs their support and help, and we acknowledge and thank Gorry very much for his team. And pay tribute to Brian, who went on the, I think it was the first 4 trips to build churches. And probably apart from those church builds, one of the notable things that happened was in 2014, at the conference, the Fiji Mission Centre, their project was to renovate an auditorium there. It was an auditorium, but it had actually been just accumulated junk and had to be cleaned out. And it was a building at least this size, probably a little bit wider. But today, that is really the pride of the Fiji Mission, at that auditorium being renovated. They use it for conventions there for Hope. Down below is the Hope Channel studio. And so that really transformed the Fiji Mission. Even apart from, as Rick mentioned, even apart from the churches, there were other things that actually happened. During that entire time, clothing would go across, and Pastor Tom's garage, or wherever, and later times it's Will's garage, it was, and sometimes our hall, used clothing from the shop here was packed and sent over to Fiji. And straight after the Cyclone Winston, people in Mackay and Townsville organised that a full container load of clothes and other useful items was sent across to Fiji. And once again, that same thing happened in 2021, because at the end of 2020, Cyclone Yasa came through and was even more devastating than Cyclone Winston. And so once again, a container of clothes was sent across, and Tom and a few of the people there loaded up the Fulton Mission truck and went across to the other island and did this distribution. And so, and another thing that did happen in 2021, money was actually sent across for food relief for families who really struggled. There was no government relief when people lost their jobs over there and people were desperate. So lots of things have happened from the generosity of the community here in Mackay and Townsville and elsewhere. And I really do acknowledge the help of our address shop here in Mackay, because in most of those builds there, they donated money to help those builds happen, and we thank them very much for that. And also with the containers, they help with the shipping costs to go across there. So it's been no small feat what the address shop has done. And probably like to, my brother Ian has also been over there is to help with building. And some of you remember Roy Costello. He even went across on one of the flying builds to build there. Roy didn't like planes, and Tom finally coaxed him to go across there. And Roy was to be the leader of that trip. And in the airport, he couldn't be found anywhere. Guess where he was? He was in the prayer room. And going across to the small island of Taveuni, you have to fly by one of those little 19-seater planes. Sherry had never told Roy about that. And when we went to the airport the next morning to go across to the island, Roy says, "Who'd be stupid enough to fly in one of those little planes?" And Sherry said, "We are." So there were many memorable moments on flying builds. It's where we truly got to know and love each other. And I thank everyone here who's been a part of it. And those adventures, they've been adventures that money literally cannot buy. And they hold a special place in our hearts. And everyone who's been knows that the people are so grateful. And they express that in so many ways. But really, I believe it's we and us who are blessed greater. And I thank you for everyone who's supported the flying builds. And I guess the challenge I want to leave with you today is that there's a flying build. Tom's got 2 more flying builds in the pipeline. One of them's happening next May, and the other one will happen after that. But I just challenge you to continue supporting, that we might carry on his legacy, that the legacy is just not finished now, but it carries on. So please, if you have the opportunity to support in person, financially, whatever, you will truly be blessed. And we just thank Tom for his leadership, support in all those areas, because if it wasn't for his drive, enthusiasm, perseverance, persistence, they wouldn't have continued to happen. But they have, because he loved his homeland, he loved his people, and that was evident in so many ways. And I thank you so much today.
Vula Padaka. The first time I met Pastor Tom was in Melbourne, as we were on a meetings, because we both were part of mentoring to someone. And that was, I think, about a good 15 years ago. The first impression I got is that he was a very humble man. We shared the same room. And I can look back and I can see that he was a great man. He never was showing off who he really was. I just learned that he not only was a pastor, but he was also a youth leader, a president of a conference, a lecturer at Fulton College. Just an amazing man, and yet so humble. When we were sharing the room in Melbourne, he was just a simple man. He was just sharing with me like any normal human being. Then, unknowingly, I was asked to come all the way from Tasmania to Townsville to take Townsville Church, while he was the pastor of City Church. Once again, he made me feel very welcome, and I felt at home with him as a colleague. And we worked together very well. So as a colleague, I'm definitely thankful for the way that he carried on his ministry, for the way he shared his life and his ministry with me as well. And also, as I am at the moment currently the pastor of City Church, the church that he was pastor of when I arrived. Just last night, as we had our board meeting, I asked to one of the head elders, and I asked, tell me, what is that comes to your mind when you think about Pastor Tom Osborne? And he said, well, he was, I was the head elder when he was here. And what he remembered is the impact that he made just by being a person who was loving everyone. He said everybody loved Pastor Tom. He was very friendly. The way that he approached people was very very approachable kind of person. So definitely, there's a lot of things to learn from Pastor Tom. And I think some of you have been or had the privilege to be blessed by his ministry. And I would like to finish by just saying to the family, and Va, if you are listening, we still remember you both very much in Townsville. And to the rest of the family, and Will especially here, may God give you the strength that you need at this time to continue on. Pastor Tom has left, but his memory still lives in our hearts. He is definitely a man that is hard to forget. And may you continue living out the blessing that he poured upon you when he was ministering in this church. So blessings to you all, and especially to the family. And we are not saying goodbye right now, but we say, see you later. Hey, cheer up. Because next time that he will open his eyes will be to see Jesus coming in the clouds. Amen. We have that hope. And that hope helps us to move forward to that day that there will be no more death, no more pain, no more sorrow. Hey, on that day, we will see once again Pastor Tom. Hey, when you see him, give him a big hug. Amen. God bless you.
Hi, everybody. I have received, Pastor Chris received a written tribute from Pastor Simon Gigliotti, who turns out that he's our new president for this conference, but his journey began back in Mackay with Pastor Tom. So he just sends this wishes. I wish to send my serious condolences to Pastor Tom's family and those who held him dear. My prayers and thoughts are with you at this time. Pastor Tom was a giant in ministry and a genuine spiritual leader both in Fiji and in the Mackay community. I was privileged to work with him during his time in Mackay and to learn much from him about what it means to be a faithful shepherd of God's people. In 1 Thessalonians 4:16, the Bible talks of the coming of Christ and the first resurrection. Here it says, "For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud command, with the voice of the archangel and with the trumpet call of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first." I look forward to that trumpet sound, and I am convinced it draws near. Therefore, let us take heart in the soon coming of Christ and the assurance we have in him, an assurance that tells me that we will get to see Pastor Tom again soon. God bless, from Simon. I just wanted to also just share a brief word about Pastor Tom on behalf of myself and my family. And I know Shaylee would have wanted to be here today. She's over in Bali and probably on the live. As Rico mentioned, we got to build such a wonderful relationship with Pastor Tom through Care Group and also VAR and the family. And I was always happy to be his little sidekick. He wasn't great at admin, and he always needed a hand, so I was always there for whatever he needed and whatever ministry he was doing to help him with his admin side. And a turning point came in 2014. I was picking up my children from Carlisle in the car park, and he came up to me and he said, "Nathania, do you want to come on a Fiji mission trip?" And I just said, if I win the lotto, but then I'd have to play the lotto to be able to win, so that's just not going to happen. But by God's grace and blessings, I was given a wonderful sponsorship by a dear friend in church. And I was able to go. That's where I met Bridget and Will, and little Liam was only a baby, and Thomas, they were all so young, and Sam. And that just became such a big part of our lives for me and my girls. They've become our family, and we're just so blessed. And by God's grace as well, he was able to get Bridget and Will and family to move to Mackay by that connection. So I thank Tom for that. The following year I was able to take my girls because I got a job at Carlisle and my income increased, and I was able to get the money together to be able to take my girls to Fiji. And they got to experience their first mission trip. And that was life-changing for them. And my mum was able to come as well. And by this time, Tom had played such a big role in our lives. He'd baptised Tashire and Shaylee. He'd also baptised my mum. And so Tom had become such a big part of our family, and VAR, and also Will and Bridget, and the children. But I'm going to miss the jokes and the banters and the Origin games. And today he gets a win because I wear his colour only for today. But this was my first chumba that I was ever given on my first mission trip, so I wear in honour of him today. every game that would come, we'd always banter through Messenger and we'd tease each other about who was going to win. And I used to love getting one up on him, and then occasionally he'd get one up on me. And then the teasing, when I'd see him every time he'd come home, have you got a husband yet? And I'd say, Tom, you'll be the first to know because you'll have to do the ceremony. But the thing that stands out the most in my mind is my time in hospital that I had in Fiji on my last trip. I was at a very vulnerable place. But he was so dedicated, he would come down from the mountain, which took over 2 hours on a really big, steep hill that was winding and lots of potholes. And I'm sure that hire bus just got trashed with the amount of trips he had to come down to see me in hospital. But his dedication and his faithfulness to me to make sure I was okay. And every time I'd see him when he'd come home after that, he'd say, I can't believe I nearly lost you in Fiji. But I know a lot of prayers went up, and he'd stand beside my bed and he'd pray. And I got home to Australia and things were able to go on. Thanks, Al. Thanks, Bill. And I'm just so grateful for the love and for everything that he did for me and my girls and the friendship that he showed. And the last time he was home, I went out to Farley Church and to his last sermon. Didn't know it was going to be his last. Hey, Helen. But I'm glad I did, and we got to catch up. And it was really a bummer because where I would normally buy his caramel tart, the Valors was closed as I came over for lunch to the Osbornes, and I promised him a caramel tart. And I don't know, Dad, did you manage to get one today? Yep, great. So there'll be caramel tart that we'll share today in honour of Tom. But Tom, my friend, until we meet again, we look forward to the day of resurrection. And from what I hear, you're sitting under a really nice place in a beautiful tomb overlooking Fulton. And we just look forward to the day that we'll be united again. Thank you.
We just have a few people from the Fijian community that want to speak on behalf of Tom as well.
Nisambula Vinaka. I'm standing here, not knowing what to say. I got in here this morning and hoping that the elders will be up here talking about this great man that we've just laid to rest. I haven't got any script or anything done. I'm going to speak from my heart and what I know of this man. When I first came to Mackay, we bought a house in Walkerston in 1996. Not long after that, I hear that the Fiji communities are going to be developing in Mackay. Pastor Tom was one of them that get all the Fijians that lives in Mackay, get them together and encourage them to have an association. And he is the one that gets all the Fijian, whether you're the ones, as he says, if you're born in Fiji, you're Fijian. It doesn't matter what race you are, whether you're Indian, Samoan, Tongan, Rotuman, whatever you are. If you're born in Fiji, you're Fijian. So it pleases me that that's the way he thinks. He just don't think that the associations is going to be for the Fijians. No, that's not him. And the day it was on, we have to have it at the PCYC building or somewhere in North Mackay or somewhere there. I was only new in Mackay, and I even got lost going from Walkerston to into town sometimes. But Pastor Tom started that, get everybody together in this big hall, and he says to me, he says, "Don't be late. This is not Fiji, it's no Fiji times." I said, "Okay, Pastor Tom, I will be there on time." So what I do, I went to golf. I played golf that day on a Saturday, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, the meeting will be at 4 o'clock, and I have to go to Moreni to play golf. From there to there, and I keep thinking, well, there's a distance. And I tried to hurry the groups that I was in because I can hear his voice in me. It starts at 4 o'clock, so I be there. So as soon as golf finished, I took off. I managed to sign my cards, and I'm off. They said, "Aren't you staying for a drink?" I said, "Nope, I'm going." So I went all the way there, and everybody was in the hall getting ready and all that stuff. And I can see Pastor Tom sitting on the very end of the doorway. And I walked in, and he gave me a look, and I thought, well, I'm in trouble. I'm late. So I got, and I said, "I'm sorry." He says, "Sit down." So I sat down beside him. And it started from there. He has made this town bearable for the Fijian people that comes into this town, because the association has been formed, and we've been getting together, celebrating, whatever. That's all he's doing, and he is a man of few words. When he speaks, you listen. And that's what I found with him. When he preaches, he preaches, and he talks so tenderly and quietly. It gets into you. You can't turn your ears or pretend that you didn't hear him, even though his voice was very soft. But the message that he gives out is very strong. And I, for one, I'm always blessed that I've get to know him, his family. We stay close and try and look after each other. In our customs, once you're in a family, that's your family. It doesn't matter who they are. If they call out for help, you get up and you go and help. And that's the message I get from him when I first met him. And I'll always remember that day when I walked in, and I'm still in my golf clothes. I didn't have the chance to go home and change, and I tried to sit right behind the chair where he said, "Sit down, there's a chair beside him." So I sat beside him, and I just sat there quietly, and the ceremony is done. And that's how the Fiji Association started. Without his encouragement, without him speak to individual the way he did, I don't think so I can have the chance to be here to say something. I walked in here this morning thinking, well, the president of the association will be here, and this will be her that's get up here. And then I get told, "Could you please say a few words?" And I'm shaking like I was sitting over there. So I thought I'd pray. I pray while I'm sitting there for the good Lord to give me the courage. I didn't have any script made or anything made. It just comes out of my heart and how I know about this giant man that I've become to know and love. That's all I can say about him this morning. Thank you.
Hang on, I'm lost now. Oh, now it is time for the slide. Thanks, Nathaniel. I was standing there thinking, what is next?
Niunda ola cielo lai lai ruin rende nugusala ka ora ora autada kinga kiwana tuina nongu turanga Sengatale au narai bua Senga au narai bua Naya longu etangi vikemuni Turanga nirongona nogu masu Vola vola tangi butungur Mosinilo mangur Turanga Tawatale meu kaya Taboya na waini matagur Sota nakalowe na dola kedenga sengatale au narai ua Naya longu etangi vikemuni Kisenganan rere Quiero ser amigo la que venga Sengatale au narai bua Naya longu etangi vikemuni Nungutangi andai visi Turanga eramona nongu masu Mosini alotangi butungu Tolata kede kachisu Turanga senatale au kara Taboyana waini mataku Rarawayanu maenangkai o tinga Matakabo sa kindamay Nunangayoti Rarawayanu maenangkai sayarungan Matakabo sa kindamay I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand from the moment that I wake up until I lay my head. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire and in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. Hey! 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. Oh, yes, you have. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything, oh Lord. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, oh yeah, it's running after me. Oh yeah, your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so